And we're back for graphing equations with two variables. Now you'll notice ordered pairs are also coordinate points, so I'm going to be looking for those XY combos to plug in onto a graph. So let's say they gave you this equation. They say graph the solutions for this equation, 3x plus y equals -5. The solutions are going to be my XY coordinate pairs. Remember, domain and range values that have that relation that prove that this is true. When x is this value, y equals that one. Before I can start working, I'm going to want to have y by itself. I'm going to isolate for y. So right now I have 3x plus y. The opposite of that would be to subtract 3x from both sides, so that I have -5 plus, or minus 3x and a -5. So I'm going to rewrite my equation like this. Y equals, I want to put my x first, -3x minus 5. So now I have my y by itself. That's going to be easier for me to work with. Now if they want me to graph, I'm going to need to be able to find some coordinate pairs. And they aren't telling me what x is equal to. So that means I get to pick my own coordinate points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a table over here. I'm going to say, here's my x values, here's my y values, and these will act as my coordinate points. So I'm going to pick some values of x, plug those in, and see what values I get, so then I can then graph. Anytime that you're choosing your own x values, I would suggest having at least 3, and then having some negative and some positive. If they don't specify, I like -1, 0, and 1, because it makes for some fairly easy work for me. Alright, so let's start over here. Let's do y equals a -3 times a -1 minus 5. So -3 times -1 is equal to +3 minus 5. Therefore y is equal to -2, or 3 plus a -5. So -1 comma -2. Let's do that same thing for 0. Y equals -3 times 0 minus 5. Anything times 0 is 0, so 0 minus 5 is the same as a -5. And finally I'm going to do y equals -3, oops, that's a great 3, times 1 minus 5. Can we still see that? Perfect. -3 times 1 is a -3 minus 5. -3 minus 5, or -3 plus a -5, is equal to a -8. Again, if you guys are struggling or needs a quick reminder about adding and subtracting integers, either check back in your textbook or talk to me about it. And it leaves us with a -8. So now I have my x and y points. I've got my domain, I've got my range. These are going to act as my coordinate points. They are solutions of the equation, and they're also ordered pairs, which means I can graph them. So if I'm going to work on a graph, and I'll just sketch one up here really quick. I know you guys know how to graph, and so some of the practice problems will have you first isolate for y, make a table to plug in some values, and then they'll ask you to graph. So I'm going to do -1, -2, 0, -5, and then 1, -8. And then I'm going to play connect the dots here and draw a line through, or mostly through in this case, my dots, so that I can graph that solution. Equations or functions can be graphed, and if you do everything correctly, these practice problems today, they should make a line. If you've got points that are all over the place, then you may want to go back and check your work. Something else while you're checking is take a look. You should notice a pattern here. For each of these, since these are consecutive numbers, take a look. I've got -2, -5, -8. Each time, I'm adding a -3. So that can be another way to check yourself on your work. Alright, you kids have fun.